Gentlemen, welcome to Las Vegas. What I'm about to propose to you is both highly lucrative and highly dangerous.
I was wondering how I was going to shoot a scene of 11 people sitting around listening to one guy talk.
This is the vault at the Bellagio.
The word that I kept using with everyone is elegant. I want it to be elegant.
We're gonna rob it. Exactly.
I don't like to tell actors what to do, and so they all sort of walked in and found a place.
This is Steven Soderbergh, director and cinematographer of Ocean's 11, talking about the heist breakdown scene and the complexity of shooting 11 people in a room, each of whom play an integral role in the film.
His idea was just to stick everyone in a room and let it go from there.
Smash and grab job, huh?
Slightly more complicated than that.
Oh. Yeah.
For me, it became about geometry.
After his question and Brad's response, that reaction, you didn't just do it like sooner after that.
Shooting the scene and cutting it in such a way that where everybody was in their relation to the other characters was really clear. And it turns out I really like the scene.
But this challenge is more than just a technical one. Introducing 11 unique characters and keeping them distinct for the entire runtime is one of the most daunting challenges the filmmakers could tackle. And that's without mentioning the antagonist or the love interest.
There she is.
You're locked in with the title to have 11 guys in the gang. So one of the tricks was to keep each of them differentiated. And the way I figured out to do that was to cast major movie stars in every role.
Screenwriter Ted Griffin wasn't being completely serious. Obviously, not every actor was a household name, but he has a point. More stars means less confusion for the audience. And for a film like this, the celebrity prestige is a plus. The finished product feels elegant and effortlessly cool, but don't be mistaken, arriving there was anything but effortless.
There's a lot of sweat involved in making something breezy,
I'm fine.
and that was kind of unexpected.
To demonstrate just how hard it is to pull off this feat, I'd like to introduce you to the original Ocean's 11, starring Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, and the rest of the Rat Pack. These pinnacles of 60s stardom and entertainment wanted to make a slick heist film flaunting a debonair Vegas edge. Unfortunately for them, the original Oceans now acts as a wonderful example of how not to do a heist picture.
When I originally started writing the script, one thing I definitely didn't want to do was make any Rat Pack reference or have any character be an allusion to any of those guys or really throwing much of a wink to that.
I'm gonna focus in on this scene around the pool table, as it mirrors the sitting room scene we previously looked at. For context, this scene arrives roughly at the 1 hour mark, twice as long as Soderbergh's setup, and half the crew still feel like strangers. But hey, at least they had time to fit a few musical numbers. I will say, this isn't the most egregious way I've seen to promote a new single. So, with the 11 standing around the pool table, Danny Ocean explains the master plan.
We black out the whole town and hit the 5 casinos at the same time. Sahara, Riviera, Desert Inn, the Sands, and the Flamingo.
Split up in pairs, one for each of the 5 casinos. Shut off the lights while everyone is singing Auld Lang Syne, then walk into the vaults and fill bags with cash. Now, you might be thinking, that sounds pretty easy. Back at the table, pay attention to this very clever interaction between Bergdorf and Ocean.
But if the button's on the inside, I can't push it from the outside. But that's exactly where you're going to push it from, the outside. Every casino's got an auxiliary motor that generates enough power to light up the gambling tables and the cash.
I've sped this up because this single exchange is 1 minute and 15 seconds uninterrupted.
The auxiliary motor kicks in automatically. 20 seconds and they're back.
These reaction inserts try to convince us this is clever, but instead make Danny's words blur together in the background.
Now let me ask you a question. What happens if you cross the wires that operate the lights with the wires that open the cage doors?
But it's not just that Ocean's rambling explanations are a boring way to handle the scene.
The doors of the cages will click open.
At a certain point, your imagination just gives up.
It's as simple as that.
This handkerchief is the only visual reference we get, and it doesn't really add anything of value. Visual aids are crucial for heist films with complex procedures.
The elevator shaft is rigged with motion detectors.
But here, they're barely an afterthought. If the original film taught us anything, it's that we should never take good filmmaking like this for granted. For every scene that feels effortless, there's countless others that failed. So, the past is where we'll leave it.
I think that film had a strong premise, but could certainly be updated and retooled.
For a film to hold your interest, there should be a constant tension between what you know and what you don't. Learn too much too fast, and you're left confused and uncurious. But too little too slow, and you're checked out. There's a fine line you have to walk when introducing 11 individuals to the audience. That's a lot of information. Griffin and Soderbergh's solution to this problem was to clearly define 2 main characters before anyone else.
Morning.
We're grounded to the titular character first.
Daniel Ocean.
Then, just 5 minutes in, we meet his counterpart, Rusty Ryan. Together, the dynamic duo glue everything in place. Two men with a mysterious and elaborate criminal past
And matrimonial head masks.
who use words when necessary,
Miss Daisy, two Jethros, and Leon Spinks.
or don't.
Well, yeah.
This kind of tech talk, like we know what we're talking about, but no one else does.
We could always...
By tomorrow, and I just want you to know as an actor, I had no idea what I was talking about.
What?
Rusty takes the spotlight at the poker table, establishing himself as Danny's equal rather than just a member of the crew. The film familiarizes us with their dynamic, at which point we're presented with a need.
What, you want to knock over a casino?
And you're gonna need a crew as nuts as you are.
So how do you make 11 guys stand out? It all starts with a first impression.
You're like a little girl.
In our introduction to Virgil and Turk, we're told everything we need to
I'm
know.
gonna drop you like third period French,
They
okay?
have lots of time on their hands, and their strengths include bickering
Am I touching you? Am I touching you? Hands right in front. I'm not touching
and
you.
driving.
So I'm not
A unique setting creates visual distinction in our minds, and of course, a little humor goes a long way.
Do you see me grabbing the gun out of your holster and just waving it around?
We meet each person doing the thing they're good at, so we know right away where they fit on the team. Basher?
Hey, Bash. Hey, Russ. How fast can you put something together before I just slipped you?
Explosives.
Stunned.
Everybody down! Get it!
Hard to forget an intro like that. Now, when everyone comes together in the same room, it feels purposeful. You aren't straining to remember the verbose backstory of 11 suits. You know right away who's the pickpocket and who's the grease man.
Which one's the amazing Yen?
The little Chinese guy.
We can often feel a scene is off before we can explain why it feels that way.
I've come to believe that a large part of a movie is about transitions, literally transitions from one scene to another, and whether or not you're able to make transitions that are not only successful creatively, but emotionally as well for the audience in terms of rhythm and the release and suppression of certain information to keep them interested but not irritated.
Las Vegas, huh? America's playground.
You have to look at the entirety of a film to identify the moments where the rhythm is off. After a low-energy, procedural briefing has had its moment, the audience starts to miss the excitement, so the film should transition with energy and carry that momentum forward. When done right, both the slow and fast-paced moments will serve to captivate the audience's attention.
What came out of the first preview was, frankly, that people, they cared more about the characters than the plot. It was obvious to me that any material we had that was really character-oriented that helped set up the characters or pay them off later needed to go back in.
Something as simple as Danny and Rusty driving from the bar makes a massive difference.
Which was a scene that I cut from the script.
And we tested twice and then just put it back in.
If suddenly all of those little moments are cut, you have a completely different film.
One of the remarkable educations I got was how much a little shot, a little detail like that adds to the whole piece, and it makes an enormous difference, I think, in the tempo of the film. Little things accumulate.
Transitional scenes can be emotionally significant, like this one between Brad and Saul. Here, an emotional gap is filled for Saul's character, while also creating a moment that tells the audience
It's time.
or they can provide a moment of levity and humor.
Someone call for a doctor?
But in each and every case, these moments define the pace of the film. A heartfelt character beat can wind down tension, while a chaotic comedic scene can drive the energy higher. Just as important as transitional scenes in the complete narrative are the transitions that bridge two scenes together. It's a fun shift that we can see that indicates we're shifting gears. The audience is pulled into the action, and the ride begins. All because of...
Say it for me. Rhythm and release.
Soderbergh uses many versions of tension and release transitions. One of his favorites...
Have somebody ask a question, answer it with the cut.
What do you think you would do if released?
There's only one pinch in the well big enough to manage it.
Where?
Who do you got in mind?
You know, sometimes people call movies a ride, and that always bugs me for some reason, but this is the first movie I've ever been in, probably the last, where I actually think it is a ride. It kind of grabs you from the beginning, and it lets you off when the credits come up.
The whole idea of doing this movie, from day one, minute one, you just sort of know.
It's a bad idea.
Bad
Bad
This is a
idea.
bad idea. I'd like to apologize now for it. But we've changed the title.
Oh dear.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's Harry Potter 2.
Between takes, they would never go to their trailer. They would all stay right on the set, sort of talking and screwing around.
It was very hard to go to work because while they're setting up, the cast members now chatting with each other. And of course, George Clooney.
God, he's so fun and so silly.
He may be the best looking silly person in the world.
Except it's really hard acting with George because, I'm supposed to be steely and serious. He's just like this hideous, charm monster.
Our biggest fear was we were having such a good time we thought we might screw it up.
We have the same giggle meter. There was one night that truly I thought we wouldn't get through. I thought Esteben was going to say, okay, you guys go home because we can't shoot the scene. You're just unprofessional, hideous people.
Started out telling jokes, then we move into sports, basketball games, backgammon.
And there was always someone to go do something with. If 2 of us were working, that meant 9 of us weren't.
And then the group formed, and it was great fun.
You call up and you say, hey, who wants to have breakfast? I would always start with Brad, and then he would say no, and I'd end up with Casey.
The one thing we were all very aware of was that it would never be more fun to make a film than this one. We all said it every day. I'd look over at Matt and he'd go, doesn't get better than this.
Oh, come on. Why don't you just tell me? Why do you put me through all this? Where's the fun in that?
Hearing directly from the cast how much they enjoyed being a part of this film, it's clear that this experience was something special. The energy created by an environment like this permeates through every aspect of the film. In large part, this is thanks to Soderbergh's directing style and his willingness to let the actors explore their characters and adapt on the fly.
Things come out of genuine camaraderie that you can't plan. In this case, funny things.
For example, Bernie Mac and Matt Damon's interactions, or the endless bickering of the twins,
Out of my way! I was trying to deliver my balloons! Gentlemen!
or, most famously, Brad Pitt's eating.
This came up in one of the very first scenes that we shot with Brad, and he just said, I feel like I should be eating.
That was when we first started the whole food thing.
The gag became what in that scene with Matt? He ate 40 shrimp and didn't bat an eye.
These kind of gags and jokes aren't the norm. In fact, it's usually a lot like,
Well, why don't you then tell me what you want to do, and then I'll do it so that you can tell me you don't want it anymore. I'll do it to perfection, and you'll tell me that it's garbage.
this kind of camaraderie is once in a lifetime. Or, I suppose, 3 in a lifetime.
There's something that just comes through, that everyone's having fun. You can just see it. We were all trying to smell the roses.
Because the house always wins. Unless, when that perfect hand comes along, you bet big, and then you take the house.
It all comes back to Soderbergh's dynamic approach to filmmaking.
It came from an early conversation with Esteben talking about rhythms and how we could turn these cliched scenes on their head.
Been practicing this speech, haven't you?
A little bit. Did I rush it? Felt like I rushed.
That was good. I liked it.
His willingness to experiment on set, reworking shots, not being afraid to be wrong.
Here's an example of a perfectly simple scene that it took me a good hour and 15 minutes to figure out how to shoot. I set up 3 different versions of it. All of them sucked.
I remember saying, wow, that was a great way to do it, Steve. And he goes, well, it took me 40 minutes. I think he was really mad at himself.
Yeah. And ultimately, that energy and that environment, which is so unique to this movie, is what breathed life into every scene.
And then we get to the fountain, and it became something. Again, we've all fell into our own place.
It was oddly emotional. Well, I guess not oddly. I guess we all had such a good time there.
Yeah. Esteben said he told you guys leave in your own time.
Yeah, he said, I want Brad to leave first.
And it left with Carl at the end. And it became something, actually, that was really moving. I didn't expect, I certainly didn't foresee in the script, actually saying goodbye to something we had a great time on. And a few films go like this, where it's easy, it's a breeze. It's a joy to be there, surrounded by great people, having great laughs. And I don't know, it just became this touching moment I certainly didn't expect.